Great experiences don't build themselves.
Behind every personalized journey is complexity, tools, teams, and tech.
AI moves fast. Expectations move faster.
Adobe Experience Cloud offers the power, but strategy turns potential into performance.
This is the AEM Analytics Consulting's Adobe at Scale podcast.
Subscribe, align your stack, accelerate your enterprise. You're listening to our Adobe at Scale podcast, where we demystify the Adobe Experience Cloud and turn enterprise complexity into clarity. Hosted by experts from AEM Analytics Consulting. Let's get into it.
Welcome to a deep dive, really relevant to our ongoing discussions around AEM and, well, the whole Adobe Cloud ecosystem. Today, we're digging into something pretty important within the Adobe Experience platform, the AEP AI Assistant.
Yeah, and it's really not just another feature, is it? It feels like something bigger, something that could genuinely transform how enterprise decisions get made, at a fundamental level.
Absolutely. So our goal today is to unpack what this AI assistant actually is, get a handle on how it works, and maybe most importantly for you listening, talk through the strategic side. What does this mean for leaders driving growth and efficiency?
Exactly. We want to look at this idea of conversational data intelligence, especially how this tool represents a big step towards more agentic capabilities in AEP.
And that word agentic, it's key here, isn't it? It's about the AI not just fetching info, but actually, well, doing stuff or nudging you towards the next step based on what you're trying to achieve.
Precisely. Helping you take action, not just answering questions.
Okay, so let's start right there. What is the Adobe Experience Platform AI Assistant fundamentally? What kind of problem is it trying to solve?
Okay, so fundamentally, it's this conversational AI, right? Powered by generative AI built straight into AEP. And the problem it's really tackling is complexity. Making all that rich customer data, all that platform power, truly accessible to the business users. Marketers, analysts, operations folks, using just plain English. No need for deep tech skills or writing SQL.
So it's about opening it up, basically, making it easier for those teams to get their hands on insights and take action without needing a technical expert every single time.
That's exactly it. Democratizing access is a huge part of it. It lets users explore AEP through a familiar chat-like interface. Adobe's clearly aiming to, speed up how quickly people can use the platform effectively, make onboarding much faster, and just shorten that time to insight dramatically.
Which, given how complex these enterprise data setups usually are, sounds like it could cut through a lot of that internal back and forth, that friction.
It really could. And this is where that agentic piece becomes so important in how it actually works. It's built on this pretty clever tiered model structure. It blends Adobe's base AI models with custom models specific to each enterprise.
Okay, a tiered structure. How does that layering help with the natural language side of things?
Well, the base models have all of Adobe's general knowledge, the documentation, common use cases, best practices, all that. But the really crucial part is that custom layer. That's where it integrates your company's specific stuff, your internal policies, your unique marketing approaches, and importantly, your exact customer data schemas and how you define things.
Okay. So it's not just generic AEP knowledge. It actually gets the nuances of our business, our data structure.
Exactly right. That layering is what ensures the answers and the actions it suggests or takes aren't just technically sound, but they're highly relevant and accurate for your specific situation. So users can ask things naturally, like, how do I build a segment of customers who looked at product X 3 times but didn't buy? Or show me the latest schema for our main customer profile.
Or even something more action-oriented, like, can you simulate what happens if a customer joins the loyalty program via email?
Yes, precisely. And the system takes that natural language, figures out the intent, and translates it into the necessary AEP query or workflow step, then gives you the result, often with an explanation. It's a real shift. It's not just finding a doc. It's translating your business need into platform action. It's helping you do the thing.
And I heard it also offers proactive suggestions, not just reacting to questions.
That's another really strong agentic feature. Say you're working on setting up your identity mapping. The assistant might proactively suggest, hey, maybe you should review these specific merge rules, or have you considered these related audience segments that might improve your profile unification? It tries to anticipate your next step based on what you're doing.
And it does this right within the workflow, so you're not constantly jumping between the chat window and the main AEP interface.
Exactly. That embedded assistance is key. It gives you auto suggestions right there while you're building a segment or designing a journey or setting up an activation. It really cuts down on that context switching and makes the whole process smoother.
Okay, stepping back a bit. why does this capability, this move towards more agentic AI inside AEP, really matter for, the leaders listening, the people overseeing these big, complex operations?
Well, it hits some major pain points directly. You mentioned the complexity of the tech stack. This kind of tool dramatically lowers the friction for people actually using the platform and getting value from the data inside it.
And we keep hearing about data silos, right? That's still a massive headache for almost every large company.
Oh, absolutely. I think Adobe's 2024 Digital Trends Report, didn't it say something like over 70% of marketing leaders feel just swamped by siloed data and the sheer complexity of their systems? The AI assistant aims right at that. It gives you a single natural language way to explore and act on data. Even if it's technically spread across different parts of AEP, it removes a huge barrier.
So how does that translate into real benefits for the different teams using AEP?
Well, for marketers, it means they can potentially design campaigns much faster, maybe get more precise with targeting, and rely less on analysts or data teams for, pulling standard segments or data points.
Okay, so marketers get speed and autonomy. What about analysts?
For analysts, the hope is they can spend less time on those repetitive data pulls or documentation questions and more time on the deeper work complex modeling, finding new patterns, more strategic analysis. Operations teams could see fewer manual errors and maybe automate some routine checks or queries. And those contextual suggestions help everyone work smarter.
Let's make it more concrete. Can we talk about some real-world applications? Where are companies actually seeing tangible results from this kind of capability?
Yeah, definitely. One of the most immediate places is faster onboarding and enabling more self-service. Think about bringing a new marketer or analyst onto AEP. Traditionally, that's weeks of training, right? Poring over documentation, constantly asking colleagues questions.
Right, it can be a steep learning curve.
The AI assistant can dramatically shorten that. New hires can just ask questions in plain English.
So what does that actually look like? Can someone just ask, what exactly is a merge policy in AEP? Or maybe, how do I set up an identity namespace?
Precisely those kinds of questions. Or what's the difference between batch and streaming ingestion? Instead of hunting through pages of docs, they get an answer tailored to their company's setup, maybe even with links to the right configuration screens or suggested first steps.
It's like having an expert guide on call, 24/7, who knows your specific instance.
Kind of, yeah. And the impact is faster time to productivity, probably lower onboarding costs, and hopefully a more consistent understanding across the team. Another huge area is creating complex audience segments.
Yeah, that often gets bottlenecked, needing specific query skills or analyst time.
Exactly. Now, a marketer could potentially just describe what they need, create a segment of customers who viewed hiking boots 3 times last month but didn't buy anything, or build me a high-value repeat buyer segment in the Midwest who've used the mobile app recently.
And the assistant figures out the logic behind that description.
It interprets the logic, suggests the right data attributes to use, builds the segment definition, and can even give you a quick preview of the audience size. So what might have been a task taking hours or even days waiting for someone else could potentially be done in minutes.
That's a massive acceleration. Huge for campaign agility.
It really is. It allows for much faster campaign launches and makes it easier to experiment with more granular, micro-targeted segments. Then there's journey testing and simulation.
That sounds interesting. CX teams often struggle to really visualize or test how complex journeys will play out.
Right. The assistant can help here by simulating journey paths based on actual data or hypothetical scenarios. A journey manager could ask, okay, what happens if someone abandons a cart, gets the reminder email, but still doesn't click? Or simulate the path for someone who clicks our latest social ad and then visits the website.
So it can map out potential flows and maybe flag issues before you launch.
Exactly. Help generate those maps, identify potential friction points or gaps, and allow for optimization up front, which, leads to higher quality campaigns and less risk when they go live.
And all this speed and ease of use must feed into faster iteration overall.
Absolutely. It makes the whole cycle of defining campaign logic, building audiences, setting up personalization rules much more fluid because you're using conversation. Marriott International actually talked about this at Adobe Summit 2024. They mentioned using Adobe's AI, including capabilities like this assistant for segmentation, helped them cut their time to market for personalized campaigns by over 70%.
Wow, hold on. Marriott cut personalization time by over 70%. That's huge. The implications for just being relevant and responsive in the market are massive.
It's a staggering number, right?
Yeah.
It points directly to faster execution, quicker A/B testing, and potentially significant ROI improvements. And crucially, this isn't just helping the super technical users.
Right. Who else gets empowered by this kind of access?
Well, marketers, obviously, but also product owners, campaign strategists, business analysts, even some leadership roles. They can all potentially use it to quickly pull historical data, understand what a specific data field means, check the makeup of an audience segment, or validate a hypothesis without needing to file a ticket or wait for a report.
It sounds like it could really foster better collaboration across teams, breaking down some of those traditional bottlenecks between business and data teams.
That's definitely a major goal. More autonomy for business users, more direct engagement with the data, leading to, hopefully, better strategy and faster execution.
Now, something that's always top of mind for enterprise leaders, especially if you're in finance, healthcare, telecom, is trust. Governance, privacy, these are absolutely non-negotiable when AI starts handling customer data. How does the AEP AI assistant address that?
Yeah, and that's obviously critical. Adobe's been clear that robust security and governance are built in. A fundamental principle is model isolation. Each enterprise customer effectively gets its own private, sandboxed environment for that custom model layer we talked about.
So my data doesn't leak into another company's model, and theirs doesn't leak into mine.
Correct. Your proprietary data, your customer data used for the custom model, stays yours and only informs your assistant. It's not used to train the base Adobe models or anyone else's models. That separation is key.
Okay, that isolation is vital. What else?
There's also advanced content filtering built in. It's designed specifically to prevent sensitive information, things like PII, internal company secrets, or even just inappropriate language from appearing in the AI's responses or being ingested improperly.
So that combination of isolation and filtering is designed to meet those really stringent compliance needs in regulated industries.
Exactly. It has to be trustworthy from the ground up to be viable for enterprise use, especially with customer data.
So looking forward then, how should leaders be thinking about this? Not just as a useful tool, but maybe as a strategic asset.
I think it fundamentally changes the interaction model with what can be a very complex, powerful platform. Strategically, it means faster time of value when you adopt or expand your use of AEP. It genuinely democratizes data access, putting real power into the hands of more people across the organization.
Which should improve collaboration and just make the platform feel more intuitive overall.
Right. And looking ahead, you can expect Adobe to weave this assistant even more deeply into the fabric of the Experience Cloud.
What kind of integrations might we see?
Well, tighter connections with Journey Optimizer are likely, deeper integration with Customer Journey Analytics for insights, and connecting it with Adobe Gen Studio for that end-to-end content supply chain. The vision seems to be moving towards AI orchestration across the whole customer experience lifecycle. And there's data suggesting this democratization pays off. IDC research, for instance, indicates companies that successfully broaden access to AI tools can see decision-making speed up by as much as 35% and potentially boost campaign ROI by around 30%. That's the kind of impact that gets attention at the leadership level.
Okay, so bringing it all together, the AEP AI assistant feels like a really significant step in how teams can interact with their data and unlock the power of a platform like AEP. It seems designed to knock down some of those long-standing barriers around technical skills and operational friction.
Yeah, by combining that natural conversational way of interacting with real-time access to the system, plus these context-aware AI-driven insights and suggestions, it really does have the potential to change the game in terms of speed, the depth of insight you can get, and the overall impact your teams can have.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is, how could enabling your teams with this kind of intuitive, conversational, agentic tool fundamentally change the velocity and maybe even the nature of decision-making and innovation across your entire organization? Thinking beyond just marketing to the broader customer experience and operational efficiency, we hope this deep dive has been useful and insightful for you today. If you are liking our discussion, we'd love to hear what you think, so please do feel free to comment or provide some feedback.
Thanks for tuning in.
Goodbye for now.